because of so many mistakes, too much failure. That
Success is not only about what you do, it is equally about what you silently allow to work against you. Most people are not destroyed by outside forces. They are slowed, weakened, and eventually defeated by enemies that live quietly within their own habits, thoughts, and daily decisions. These enemies do not shout. They whisper. They hide inside comfort. They operate in the background of your life, shaping your future without your permission. And if you do not expose them, they will shape your destiny in a direction you never wanted. Every person you admire today had to confront these silent enemies. Some recognized them early and changed their lives forever. Others discovered them too late and spent years fixing the consequences. My intention today is to make you aware why people fail without realizing it, of these hidden barriers, so that you can rise above them, shape your life consciously, and accelerate your path to success. The first silent enemy is the belief that you have more time than you actually do. People tell themselves they will start later, try later, commit later, change later. They imagine that someday in the future conditions will magically become perfect. But life does not reward those who wait for perfect timing. It rewards those who create progress even in imperfect situations. Think about how many ideas you had that were good, but you postponed them until someone else launched something similar and succeeded. It wasn't lack of intelligence. It was the illusion of silent enemy number one, the illusion of more time, abundant time. Time is the one resource no one can negotiate with. Every day that passes either brings you closer to your dream or pulls you further away. When you believe time is infinite, you act slowly. When you realize time is fragile, you become powerful. You stop delaying. You stop waiting for permission, and you begin taking action today, not someday. The second silent enemy is your environment. Not just the people around you, but the energy, habits, conversations, and attitudes you regularly absorb. You become what surrounds you. If you stay around people who talk small, dream small, and live small, you will eventually shrink to fit their world. Many talented individuals never become successful because they remain rooted in an environment that does not allow them to grow. Every environment has a ceiling. Some ceilings are high and inspire growth. Some ceilings are so low that you cannot stand tall without bumping your head. You must ask yourself, does my environment support my ambitions? Does it challenge me? Does it pull me forward or hold me down? Sometimes the hardest decision is distancing yourself from familiar circles that no longer match your future. But nothing changes until your environment changes. Flowers don't grow in toxic soil, and neither do human dreams. The third silent enemy is emotional exhaustion. Most people think failure comes from lack of skill or lack of opportunity, but often it comes from emotional burnout. When your mind is tired, your decisions weaken. When your heart is drained, your motivation collapses. When your spirit is exhausted, even simple tasks feel impossible. Emotional exhaustion grows quietly. It builds when you repeatedly do things that drain you. It builds when you try to please everyone. It builds when you carry responsibilities that are not yours. It builds when you work without rest. And it builds when you suppress your frustration instead of how delay destroys dreams, slowly solving the problems that create it. Success requires energy, not just physical, but mental energy, emotional energy, and creative energy. If these are constantly leaking, you cannot rise. You must learn the power of recovery. Rest is not a sign of weakness. It is strategic. If you want to climb high, you must protect the engine that fuels your climb, your mind. The fourth silent enemy is the habit of seeking approval. Many people never live their own lives because they're too busy trying to fit into someone else's expectations. They hide their dreams because they fear judgment. They lower their ambitions because they fear criticism. They play small because they fear standing out. But approval has never built a great life for anyone. The world only celebrates results, not the opinions you tried to please. When you depend on approval, you hand your power to others. You wait for validation before taking action. You let rejection scare you more than stagnation. The truth is simple. If you spend your life avoiding judgment, you will also avoid success. Every successful person was silent enemy number 2. A limiting environment misunderstood before they were respected. Every bold idea was laughed at before it was admired. Every great achievement began as a risk. You must become comfortable with being uncomfortable. You must value your mission more than the opinions of those who don't understand it. The 5th silent enemy is emotional attachment to old versions of yourself. The biggest obstacle to your growth is often who you used to be. You keep defending old habits. You keep repeating old patterns. You keep justifying old limitations. You keep telling yourself stories like this is just who I am, or I'm not good at that, or I've never done this before. But every level of success demands a new version of you. You must be willing to let go of the identity that no longer serves your future. The you who will succeed is not the same person who is standing here today. Transformation requires reinvention. Reinvention requires courage, and courage requires releasing the past. Imagine carrying a suitcase full of rocks to climb a mountain. You wouldn't get very far, yet many people carry emotional rocks. Fear, regret, pride, laziness, ego, and then wonder why success feels heavy. The more you let go, the higher you rise. These 5 silent enemies work like invisible walls. You don't see them, but you feel their impact every day. They influence your decisions, your confidence, your ambitions, and your results. The moment you identify them, you reclaim power because awareness is the beginning of transformation. Once you see the enemy clearly, it loses control over you. You stop wasting time. You stop letting your environment shrink you. You begin protecting your energy. You stop seeking approval. You stop clinging to your old self. You begin rising. But understanding these enemies is only the first step. The real change happens when you begin replacing them. How people around you shrink your potential with powerful habits. Replace delay with action. Replace toxic surroundings with empowering environments. Replace exhaustion with intentional rest. Replace approval seeking with self-belief. Replace old identities with new possibilities. This is how success is built. By consciously choosing who you become every day. There will always be challenges. There will always be doubts. There will always be moments when giving up feels easier than continuing. But success is not about who has the easiest journey. It is about who continues despite the obstacles. It is about who learns from setbacks instead of collapsing under them. It is about who chooses growth over comfort. It is about who refuses to let their silent enemies control their destiny. You must understand something important. You are far more powerful than you think. You have strengths you haven't activated yet. You have potential you haven't touched yet. You have abilities you haven't discovered yet. The world will only see these gifts when you silence the enemies within you. The silent enemy number 3, emotional exhaustion journey to success, is both internal and external. Your inner world must become stronger than your outer challenges. When you master your internal enemies, no external obstacle can truly defeat you. If you can conquer yourself, you can conquer anything. Success starts with self-awareness. It grows with discipline. It expands with courage, and it becomes unstoppable with self-transformation. You are not defined by your past delays. You are not defined by your environment. You are not defined by your mistakes, your doubts, or your fears. You are defined by the decisions you make from this moment forward. If you choose to rise, no enemy can hold you down. If you choose discipline, no distraction can control you. If you choose growth, no limitation can contain you. If you choose courage, no fear can stop you. Today is the day you identify your silent enemies and declare that your future will not be shaped by them anymore. Today is the day you take responsibility for your time, your energy, your decisions, and your identity. Today is the day you begin the journey toward the greatest version of yourself. Success is not a destination, it is a transformation. And that transformation begins the moment you confront the forces that quietly hold you back. You have everything you need within you. The question is simple. Will you rise above the enemies that live in silence? Because once you defeat them, the world opens its doors for you. Let's go deeper. Because the truth is, these silent enemies don't just block your success. They shape the person you become without you ever noticing. Every day you wake up with two choices. Signs that you are mentally drained, repeat the patterns that limit you, or build the habits that free you. And every day that you choose comfort over growth, your silent enemies celebrate quietly. They grow stronger. They become part of your identity. They whisper, "Stay the same." And as long as you listen, nothing changes. But something powerful happens the moment you say enough. The moment you decide that the life you want matters more than the excuses you've been holding onto. The moment you realize that your dreams deserve your effort, your focus, and your persistence. That moment is the turning point every successful person has lived through. It is the invisible line between who you were and who you are becoming. There is something you must understand. Greatness does not come from talent alone. It comes from the ability to fight yourself, to fight your doubts, your fears, your comfort, your distractions. Success is less about competing with the world and more about competing with your old habits. The silent enemies inside you are not obstacles. They are tests. Tests to see how badly you want the life you imagine. Tests to see whether you can handle responsibility, pressure, disappointment, and uncertainty. Because the world will only give big opportunities to those who are prepared for big responsibilities. Think about how many dreams die not because of failure, but because of hesitation. How exhaustion kills your motivation and discipline. How many people stay stuck because they never take the first step. How many lives are wasted waiting for the perfect moment, but perfect moments don't come. You create them by stepping into the uncomfortable. You must accept that growth feels like friction. Progress feels like effort. Reinvention feels like discomfort. But that discomfort is proof you are evolving. You will face moments when your mind tells you to quit, when your heart feels heavy, when results are slow, and when nothing seems to work. It is in these moments that your silent enemies become loud. They say things like, maybe this is not for you, or maybe you're not capable, or maybe it's better to stay where you are. And if you don't recognize those voices, you will mistake them for truth. But they are not truth. They are fear disguised as logic. Fear is clever. Fear does not always scream. Sometimes it sounds reasonable. It will tell you to wait, to slow down, to take fewer risks, to avoid discomfort, to stay in your safe zone. That is why fear silent enemy number 4, seeking approval from others, is one of the most dangerous silent enemies. It presents itself as protection. It tells you it is saving you from failure, but in reality, it is stealing your future. You must respond to fear not with aggression, but with awareness. You say, I hear you, but I will not let you lead. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that something else matters more than fear. Your future matters more. Your goals matter more. Your growth matters more. Success begins when you become the kind of person your goals require, not the person you were last year, not the person you were last week, the person you must become now. That version of you thinks differently, makes bolder decisions, values time differently, protects energy differently, chooses discipline over distraction, chooses consistency over mood, chooses growth over comfort. That version of you is not afraid to walk away from people who drain you, habits that weaken you, and environments that shrink you. You must build an identity that aligns with the future you want, because your identity is the boss of your behavior. If you see yourself as someone who cannot commit, you will never commit. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles, you will always struggle. If you see yourself as someone who is capable, focused, and deserving of success, your actions will follow. Identity shapes effort. Effort shapes results. Results shape destiny. But destiny begins with the simple decision to evolve. Let me tell you something powerful. You do not need to fix everything in one day. You do not need to transform your entire life before why validation destroys your confidence sunset. You just need one thing, the next step. The next step is what moves your life forward. You don't climb a mountain in one leap. You climb it step by step, breath by breath, decision by decision. The journey to the top is slow, but every step counts. Every step changes you. Every step makes you stronger. Success is not built by intensity. It is built by consistency. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep moving. When you feel tired, take a small step. When you feel discouraged, take a small step. When you feel lost, take a small sink, because small steps repeated consistently turn into unstoppable momentum. And what happens when momentum arrives? Momentum changes everything. Problems feel smaller. Motivation becomes natural. Opportunities appear. Confidence rises. Momentum turns impossibility into inevitability. But momentum can only begin when you silence the enemies within you. When you stop letting fear, delay, exhaustion, and approval seeking control your life. Silent enemy number 5, your attachment to your old identity. When you decide that your dreams deserve your full effort, not your leftover energy, you must be honest with yourself. Look at your life and ask, what have I been avoiding? What have I been delaying? What environments have I outgrown? Which opinions have been limiting me? Which old version of myself have I been protecting? The answers to these questions will unlock the next level of your success. Because the truth is, you already know what you need to do. Deep down, you know which habits are holding you back. You know which distractions steal your time. You know which goals you've been ignoring. You know the life you want, you just haven't demanded it from yourself yet. Demanding more from yourself is the beginning of transformation. The day you say, I deserve better, and I will create better, everything begins to shift. You become the architect of your life instead of a spectator. You become the creator of your future instead of a victim of circumstances. You become a person who moves with purpose instead of someone drifting through days. Your silent enemies will try to follow you, but once you see them clearly, they cannot control you. You are in charge now. You are the one steering your life. You are the one choosing growth. You are the one choosing discipline. You are the one choosing courage. And life always rewards those who choose courage. You have a future waiting for you, a future built by your decisions, your or your consistency, and your determination. The question now is simple. Will you rise? Will you silence the enemies within you? Will you choose why reinvention is required for success transformation over comfort? Will you choose growth over fear? Because the moment you do, success stops being a dream and becomes your reality. There comes a moment in everyone's life when they face themselves honestly for the first time, not the version they show the world, but the version only they truly know. The version that carries fears, doubts, regrets, and dreams that never made it to the surface. And in that moment of honesty, something awakens. A realization that life will not change until you change. Success will not begin until you begin. Opportunity will not arrive until you create space for it. Most people avoid this moment. They distract themselves instead of confronting themselves. They drown their potential in noise, entertainment, excuses, and comfort. They fear the truth too much to face it. But the people who rise in life aren't the ones who avoid the truth. They are the ones who stand in front of it and say, I am willing to become better. Growth is breaking free from your past limitations, uncomfortable because it threatens the old identity you've been protecting. But remember this, the future you want requires a version of you that you have not met yet. You must introduce yourself to that version. You must shape that version. You must train that version. You must make decisions that honor that version, because that version of you already exists, not in your present, but in your potential. Show.